strategic move that Eddie is making for AJ? Why are you not thinking, let's get him set up for
kind of animal? If that was years and years and years ago. Like, Clarissa is a way different fighter from when she was back in.
Thanks to those joining me live and to those that will be joining me on our
defenses that she's had to have recently. You know, she's pulled people.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the RoundTable about tribalism. I don't think tribalism is necessarily bad. I just don't think it has to be.
I don't know what he think he sees or what he think he know. But he going to the hospital, bro. Like, bro, you not winning that fight.
You guys mentioned, I think, D-Style, you mentioned him versus Regis program. I'd love, that sounds like a...
I don't need you, you know, and PBC and others, in my opinion, it's like, oh, this is my guy. Like, there's a relationship.
Flat out, it's tough, and we call box, and we go to the end of the round, and then...
That would say, what do you mean by acting black? That's a fair question, but a participant of trash talk knows...
And they're announcing a fight 3-4 months from now. And he ain't going to fight. I bet you anything. He's not going to fight somebody as good as John Ryder. What's going on, everybody? D-Style Boxing here. Thanks to those joining me live and those who will be joining me on the archive. Hit that like button. If you're listening on the archive, share this video on all your social media platforms. This is the 168th edition of the RoundTable, being joined by Mario Mungia, a kid from Infight Fighting Hub. Ryan O'Hara writes for nyfights.com. We got Sakura from Boxing Playhouse. Join us for making her debut on the RoundTable. Thank you for being here. And of course, Joe B from Ringside Reporter. Check out a show every Sunday with Eric Lorta. All right, let's go ahead and get this one started. Jaime Munguia just had a very dominant performance over John Ryder outside of 2 rounds, basically dominated that fight. Big win for him. And now that he's gotten this victory, are you sold on a Canelo Munguia all-Mexican showdown, as Oscar De La Hoya was trying to kind of pitch to the media, tell the media, hey, you guys can make a difference. You guys could push this. Let's push for it for September, he said. But for September or May, are you down with that? Joe B, let's start with you.
Not really. We talked about this before. A lot of people say Canelo fights the fights that we expect him to fight and want him to fight, but he just doesn't give them to us when we want them. I don't know. I want the Benavidez fight, and I'm just not excited about the Munguia fight right now. I think Munguia needs to do a little bit more. It was a great performance against Ryder, but nothing in that fight showed me that I think he could beat Canelo right now. But we'll see. But I'm really not excited about that fight, to be perfectly honest with you.
Oscar De La Hoya said, statement made. Even though you're not crazy about the fight, did he make an emphatic statement in your opinion?
I think he did. I mean, this was the type of performance that we were asking for him to make, because there's been some kind of iffy performances from him, and we wanted to see him fight. And I consider John Ryder, a legitimate top-level super middleweight. I think he's a top 8. You know, before he lost to Canelo, I thought he was like in the top 5 at least. Then he went down a couple rungs on the ladder after losing, but he's still a legitimate guy, and I think this is by far the best name on Munguia's resume.
All right. Sakura, let's go with you to you here. How do you feel about a potential matchup with Munguia, Canelo, all-Mexican fight for either May or September? Like, when you hear that, what comes to mind?
That it ain't gonna happen. I mean, first of all, let me just thank you, Dee, for inviting me to your RoundTable. This just doesn't make sense to me. Everybody knows that he's in a contract with PBC. So what are we even talking about here? Like, I mean, is this really a possibility that they would like not use their own boxer and instead use Oscar De La Hoya's boxer? Come on now. I mean, and I'm trying my best these days to stay peaceful and not believe in things that I know business-wise are not going to happen. So that's pretty much out of the picture. But if we just did hypotheticals, if it was a possible fight for September, I still like to see Mungia face someone else at 168 first before being able to have a crack at Canelo. That was too many C's.
All right. And let me ask you this follow-up. So speaking of, because you mentioned, he's contracted with PBC right now, right? He's got 2 more fights. There's rumors of 3, but let's see 2.
Okay.
If I were to say, if you could look at a crystal ball, and is he going to fight Benavidez? Are we going to get that fight this year, in your opinion?
No. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, wouldn't that be like, that would be like Canelo allowing someone to do what he's done to other boxers sometimes, bringing somebody up that's like less weight wise and bringing them to your division, so because I mean, I understand that Benavidez is 168. He weighs in at 168, but in order to fight, who knows how much he really is. And he would be in there with 168-pound Canelo, who seems to be at his proper weight right now. And it just seems like, I don't know, it just don't seem like that would be like something that a prize cow like Canelo would be interested, or not even Canelo. I'd say his team isn't interested in something like that. And it's not the best reward for him. If, size does matter, which all the girls tell me it does. I mean, all my girlfriends say it matters, but I'm just going to say it. I just don't see him wanting to do that. It just doesn't seem like he would want to do that. And he has too many options because everybody, he has multiple options, not just at his own weight class, but in 160 pounds, 154 pounds. Now we're really talking about 147 pounds as well. So, I mean, it just don't seem like he would need to be forced into fighting him. The WBC is okay with his choices in boxers so far. So, I mean, what are we talking about?
So I'm going to ask you a third follow-up just because it's your first time here and we want to welcome you, right?
I'm getting picked on right now, guys. They're picking on me.
No, we're featuring.
You're interrogating this young lady. What's going on here?
No.
He's making me answer. He's like, she's going to actually be truthful.
Well, are you in the camp that believes we're going to end up getting that Canelo Jamal fight in May?
Yeah, I am. I'm totally thinking that that's probably what's going to happen. Yeah.
Okay.
We had like a little tune-up fight, with Jose Benavidez, and now, and it was at the catch weight, so it wasn't quite at his 160-pound division. So now it's easier for Jamal to try to make the 168 with a little filler out, with Jose. Like, yeah, I felt like that was a lead up fight because they knew what was coming down the pipeline. It also fits something that Canelo's team might like, which is someone, a little smaller, moving up. And then we did hear once before a few months ago where Canelo said, yeah, I would like to fight both twins. So, that's like my final confirmation that I feel like that's probably going to happen.
Okay. So Ryan O'Hara, we've heard the rumors that it might be Mungia, that they're in talks. Austria's already voicing about it. There is some precedent to it. Like I know Ryan, the zone fighter, went over and fought Tank, but that's not the norm, right? But what do you make of it, Ryan? Do you think, a Mungia, that Mungia isn't somehow in the sweepstakes here to possibly get a Canelo fight? I think something happened with Ryan. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it got really, really choppy there. But if you were asking, if I like the Canelo Munguia fight, I actually do like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it would be a really exciting fight, but Munguia would get knocked out, in my opinion. I mean, it would be a really exciting and competitive fight until Canelo catches him with a counter shot. Because, well, from what I saw in the fight with John Ryder, Munguia is a very explosive offensive fighter, but is not definitely needs some work on defense. He got caught with a lot of flush shots, but it didn't affect him. Ryder's has never really been known for power, but if he has those defensive lapses against Canelo, Canelo's a different animal. He's one of the best power punchers and also one of the best counter punchers in the game, and I think he would get knocked out. But it would be exciting until that point. And going back to what Joe said, you know, yeah, he's definitely not ready for the fight. But at the same time, I don't think Munguia is ever going to be fully ready for the fight. I just think he is who he is. He's a very explosive fighter and flawed. And I don't think those flaws are gonna go away anytime soon.
So,
But he's much improved, though, right?
He is who he is.
Yes. I agree, Sakura. He has definitely improved a good amount for sure.
100%.
100, and they finally got the breakout performance I think Golden Boy was waiting for. Now, Ryan, I know it chopped off for you there, but what I was asking was, is he realistically in the running to get a Canelo fight this year? In your opinion?
Not really. I know he's still got a contract with PBC, right? So he's probably not in the running. So we're probably looking at Jamal Charlo and I hope David Benavidez in September, but we're probably looking at maybe Terrence Crawford. You know, if that fight actually happens. If he fights Crawford, I'd like to see Crawford at least fight once before the Canelo fight. I don't want to see him go, from 147 and go straight to 168. I think he should have a fight at 154 or maybe at 160. To get a taste of what it's like to be, in within that weight.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, Chicano Prophet says he's been waiting for the voice of reason, Mario Munguia, to speak. So let's go to Mario here. Mario is after his performance are the cries of Oscar saying, "Let's make this all Mexican fight." It's the one to make. Is that a realistic possibility, May or September, in your opinion?
Well, first of all, I think Sakura made the best point in the sense that why would Al want to do XYZ, and give these fights to Golden Boy? Absolutely. But when you ask in terms of realistic, meaning what's the short list look like? There's no way Munguia is not on that short list. Now, I'm not saying he's the most, likely, but right now, if the question was broken down simply, who would you rather see fight in May? Canelo against a Jamal Charlo that does not even seem mentally prepared to be in a fight like that, or Munguia, who just stopped the fighter that Canelo could not. And for Canelo to have knocked Ryder down in the 5th round, Munguia got 4 knockdowns in the fight. And I know that doesn't really add, A plus B doesn't always equal C in boxing, and that's fine. But I want to make these few points. First of all, as far as Munguia being a potential fight, absolutely, for just based off what he did alone, okay? Because when you look at what's occurred after the fight, I don't know how many of you caught this. David Benavidez called Munguia easy work on Instagram, okay? He walked those statements back because of how much shit he was getting on IG from boxing fans who felt Munguia was being disrespected. This is Benavidez, who wants nothing more than the Canelo fight, starting a program, if I can use a wrestling term, with Munguia because he understands the value Munguia represents. Munguia is an action fighter. He's exciting, okay? TV, network friendly, venues like him. He makes good money, but he's not the best fighter. No one's ever going to mistake Munguia for one of the best pure fighters in the sport. He is beatable. Who doesn't want to fight a guy who brings a ton of Mexican fans, the kinds of fans that you make after you beat their fighter, right? And then have that kind of fight, an action fight that only solidifies you with commercial fans. I want to make a couple real quick points as well. Okay. Can we for sure say that Munguia has any worse of a chance of beating Benavidez than Ryan Garcia does Haney? No. What's the difference there? Munguia's been promoted beautifully. Now, I'm not saying that he hasn't been a cherry picker, and I'm not saying the fans have gotten the greatest fights. What I'm saying is what Golden Boy has done with Munguia, a guy who most people thought Dennis Hogan beat, and is now being considered more of an eligible shot, more of a better shot than Jamal Charlo, the guy for years, everybody was beating down the door for Canelo to fight, and Jaime Munguia, in most fans' eyes, has superseded him. And the last point I want to make, Ryan Garcia, for all the shit he's talked about Golden Boy and De La Hoya, look at the position he finds himself in versus Munguia, who never said anything. I'm not saying talking shit about promoters, shouldn't happen. I'm saying that matchmaking is a complicated process. Munguia understood that, allowed Golden Boy to work for him, and now he is on that short list to fight Canelo.
All right. Look, a lot of good, man, a lot of great points. By the way, shout out to Allerby's beard. Did you see Sampson's statement, David Canelo for September? Look, I take whatever Sampson says with a grain of salt. Like, it is what it is. I'm not saying ignore it, but it's whatever to me. But shout out to you, brother. Thanks for the support. To me, I agree 100% that the Munguia fight's very unlikely. In fact, the only reason people are even bringing up Munguia is some rumors that came out a couple of months ago from some reporter in Mexico or something, that they're talking to Munguia's team. I don't know how realistic that is. Now, the landscape has changed, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit with the Amazon Prime thing. I don't know if Al is going to have that much of a say with a lot of these fights. If Canelo says, I want to fight Munguia, can Al really stop him? I mean, maybe, but we'll see. But I don't think it's likely, though. I think Canelo may say to himself, I could always fight Munguia next year. I could always, I could take care. I could do a 1-fight deal with his own, just go over there, take care of business, and come back. So it's whatever to him. So I think he signed with PBC to fight PBC fighters. So I just hope David is in that mix. I know Mario doesn't want the David fight. It's okay, Mario. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's all good. But I digress. Let's go ahead and proceed here. Let's move on. Let's talk about this groundbreaking debut of PBC on Prime. They did their first. Well, it's not funny, Joe. Like, this is a big thing. Like, they made their debut on Amazon Prime, or actually not even on Prime. It was on YouTube. They have 200 million followers or subscribers, and it was not on Amazon Prime. It was on YouTube. Like, this is crazy, right? And they had a podium from some old gymnasium or something, like with scratches on it. What is I don't know. It was the amateur hour. I don't know what the hell they were doing. Like, this is crazy. Sakura, did he get an opportunity to watch some of the highlights or just the press conference itself? Tszyu, Thurman, what did you think?
Right. I mean, you could definitely tell that the production wasn't Showtime. Those group of Showtime boxing production crew. They took care of a lot of the small details that people take for granted, and so you're gonna have some growing pains, like the platform with scratches on it, as you say.
Okay.
I'm actually not mad at this card. I kind of like the card because it does give you a mix of different divisions, and there are noteworthy names involved. And I'm actually a lot interested in what a Keith one-time Thurman can do with Tszyu. Not because the skill level of Tszyu's is, so much more superior than Thurman's, is not, but just because he's been the more active fighter in the past year, and Keith hasn't seen action since, I believe, it's February of 2022. So, it's like the opposites. They're like opposites in one way as far as activity, but then they're both known for power. So, I'm interested in that. But I also am interested in Rolly and Isak, and as well as what, Sebastian Fundora is going to look like. Is it going to be mental demons going on with the knockout from Mendoza, or is he going to be, ready to go on all cylinders? So, and they also have a Lara fight as well. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested in that fight. I don't. PBC did say that you can watch regardless if you're subscribed to the Prime Video or not. So, and you can also order it on regular cable, as like a regular old school traditional pay-per-view, as well as, see it with your subscription. So I'm interested to see what that dollar sign is behind that pay-per-view number, though. Right. But it's an amazing deal to me. It's very lucrative because of how many subscribers, Prime Video already has established, and you get to market to those people. So I hope that they do that part correctly. As soon as you log on to Amazon, they're like, shooting you all kinds of video content, as what options you have. So I'm hoping that the PBC brand will be able to, kind of exploit that too, and get us some more boxing fans again. We need increased boxing fans.
100%. I definitely agree with a lot of what you're saying. Shout out to Remy. Is this the original roundtable? LOL. Dang, the Zone. Shout out to the Zone. They have a roundtable too. Shout out to them. Hey, Joe Beeb. I was going to flat out ask you, what did you think of the press conference?
I thought it was a little corny. It reminded me like of Mario probably remember this, like the ECW, kind of like a cheap like a wrestling promo type thing. Keith Thurman, no disrespect, he's just like the corniest dude ever, man. Tim Tszyu, I thought he brought it a little bit, but like the whole optics of it looked very cheap. Looked kind of like a high school auditorium. It's just bad, bro. Someone on Twitter was making fun of Keith Thurman, said he had like a Men's Warehouse suit on or some shit like that. It was hilarious. But I do like the undercard. I'm just not crazy about the main event. I do think the main event's going to be one-sided. I hope I'm wrong. I've been wrong before. I'm guessing the pay-per-view is going to be in probably the $70 range. The Fury Usyk pay-per-view is going to be $70. They just released the price for that. Imagine if this is more than that, because when we used to buy the pay-per-views on Showtime, I think the cheapest ones last year were like $74.99. So imagine if this card costs more than Fury Usyk. That'd be crazy. But yeah, I just thought it was a corny press conference. I thought Keith Thurman was corny. I always thought he was corny, but he was even more corny. He kind of upped his corny game up a little bit more for this one.
Wow, how many times you gonna say corny, dog? I'm sitting right here in St. Pete. You can't. Now I can't let you get away with talking about St. Pete boxes too much.
I gotta
corny like 5 times already.
I gotta let it off. I gotta let it off because that's the one thing that just comes out when you think about this. I mean, the dude was goofy, bro. I mean, he's just goofy.
It was a little over the top.
Yeah, he looked like he was reading off a teleprompter. I thought he was just trying a little too hard. I don't know.
Okay.
Did you think it was? Did you think it was authentic? Did you think it was? How did you think he came off? Did you enjoy it?
That is Keith Thurman. I mean, I'm gonna tell you. I mean, I go to that gym plenty of times when he's been there training, and I mean, he likes to have fun with it, but he doesn't mind mocking somebody either. Like if they, if he's gonna fight him, he's talking shit about him in the gym too. Yeah. I'm not that. I mean, you might find that corny, but corny is different than being genuinely corny, right? So yeah, that's his personality when it comes to fight time.
So have you been around him? Have you been, just like say you've been at that gym? So you spent some time with him? Is that how he is behind the camera, or is that?
Yeah, I'm talking about when you just go to the gym and you just, checking out sparring or checking out what's going on for the day.
Is he switched on like that all the time though? Because it kind of looked like he was playing a character. That's what I mean.
Yeah, no, that's not a character, no, dog. He's fun like that in the gym, and he has, like if he knows who his opponent is, he's gonna, be on him. Like that boy can't do nothing to me, that's the boisterous, person in him that comes through. That's genuine. Yeah.
All right. Mario, it seemed to me like I got tipped that it was Thurman weeks ago, and I didn't even believe it like at first, right? but it seems to me like I told myself, if it is Thurman, then Al Heyman must really believe like in Thurman, like in terms of being able to sell this fight. And it seems to me like they've given him like the brass ring or whatever, and like told him, we need you to sell this fight, Keith. Go out there, make it happen. And in my opinion, it seems like he went a little extra, like he turned the knob extra in this case. I've seen a lot of Keith Thurman press conferences. He never acted this, like it was a little extra, is what I'm saying. Do you believe he's going out of his way to try to sell this fight? Did somebody tell Keith Thurman, you got to sell this fight for us? Is going out to bat for Al Haymon here?
Well, you know, Mean Dean, it was clear that when they put this pressure up, they did it in a pinch, but God damn it, it was cringe. When it comes to these pay-per-view buys, PBC is going to be hurting. And when they ask why it flopped, the answer's Keith Thurman. No, he tried way too hard. Listen, it was cringe. You know, kind of like what I just did.
Thank you.
And so it just felt, it wasn't that Keith didn't feel like his authentic self. I've interviewed him many times. You know, he's a genuine guy, very likable. It seemed like he understood or is very aware of the social media backlash that the fight has gotten, as far as him getting a shot at a guy who most people consider to be one of the best, if now the best, at 154 pounds. The fact that the title's not, it's just like a lot of downers that kind of make the fight. Like if it was free, amazing card. Love the card. Salute PBC all the way. The fact that it's free on pay-per-view, I mean, the fact that it's on pay-per-view on Prime, like how many of y'all watch MGM? That's on Prime. You got to pay for that too. You know, how many of you know that One Fighting is on Prime for free? You know, my only point is that while PBC, and this is like Rolly's point that he keeps making, that like, oh, I'm going to be on Prime, you know, where not like DAZN where I'm going to be seen. And he's 100% right. You know, you can't even compare Prime and DAZN numbers, but the facts are still that you have to purchase this thing on Prime. You know, how many of people that actually have Prime are going to do that? How many people that actually have Prime that would buy it are even going to know that it's on? You know, Prime has not really set this precedent as far as, are they going to do like a 24/7 all access style thing? Like how much promotion are they going to put towards this thing? There's so many unanswered things. Listen, I've been trying to find all day what specific Prime execs were at the press conference, and I've still yet to find any. And by the way, Steven Espinosa was there, you know, making jokes that he's still looking for a job and he just loves this stuff so much he didn't want to be away. But it's weird that the former guy that is there, and, you know, where is everybody else? I don't know. It just seems like there's not a lot being put into this. It's kind of like a Hail Mary, almost, like it feels like.
I mean, in the beginning of the presser, they did announce that one exec was there from Prime.
That's what I heard. You know who it was?
It was a Prime Sports.
The guy who's in charge of sports for Amazon Prime. Yeah.
Yes.
And they just hired that guy, right?
But weren't you surprised that he didn't get up and speak or do anything?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I was like, where are the like, why isn't anybody spoken? Like, and thank you, because Sakura, I've literally heard that. People kept telling me, no, there's an exec there. I was like,
he said the name, but I don't remember, because like
got it.
You guys are real detailed with this type of stuff. I don't give a damn.
Let's be honest.
I mean, I'm just telling you the truth. I could care less whether he's there or not or whatever.
100%.
It just says how much they're putting into the product. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it says how much investment are they really putting in?
To them, it's not like it's NFL, right? Thursday night.
Well, that's what I want them
to
do.
Like, I mean, to them, that's how it is. And that's why I'm saying, like, we need these type of platforms that have subscribers so we can try to market to them and make them better boxing fans. Because what's going on right now is, do you know how many times I've heard the word niche? Oh, it's a niche market. It's a niche market. And you're like, shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, you get tired of hearing that when, you know, like, this is like the greatest sport on earth. It's a global sport that was around way before football, damn it. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's just like the audience, or the way that the execs treated this presser, is because they just look at the numbers. They just looking at boxing compared to their NFL football, fans. It's a huge difference.
It definitely is a difference.
But here's the bright spot with that, though. And I always have this conversation with people, because I hear the niche sport argument all the time. But ask yourself this though. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Name a time, because I've been watching boxing. I'm 54. I've been watching boxing since I was 10, and I've never seen a time where you could watch boxing on so many different platforms, in so many different ways, right? So there's fights overseas, Japan, Australia, UK, Saudi, and a lot of these American fans are becoming exposed to these foreign fighters. So a lot of these foreign fighters, because of social media, YouTube, and all these platforms, really have a lot of Americans. Like a lot of American people know who Inoue is. There's a lot of people in America that love Anthony Joshua, and a lot of people know who Tyson Fury is because of with the ESPN deal when he fought Wilder. I mean, think about that. You had a Brit come over here and sell 850,000 pay-per-view buys. So the whole niche thing, I don't know, man. I think that's kind of going away. And one last point, the press conferences is cool and all that, but I'm not sure like people really care about the press conference. If you have a good event, people are gonna buy it. Like people don't buy an event just because of the press conference. So to your point, how important really is the press conference?
Yeah, but
are we putting too much?
I mean, it's just this boxing. It's our boxing fanatics, like we are. Like we're the ones that thinking that we want to see the press conference and stuff like that. Yeah. Most Americans.
Yeah, but look, it's still like a prelude to, in my opinion, to what we're about to get here. It's if you're about to have surgery, right, and your surgeon walks in the room and he starts stumbling and dropping his book or whatever it is, you're not going to be like, well, it doesn't matter how he handles a notebook. It matters how he handles my surgery.
You know what really helps these events when they have like those Fight Camp 360s, those behind the scenes
that helps. But
those shows are better.
All right,
shows are better.
Right, I have to agree that those shows are better as far as hyping up a fight.
But let's proceed
if
here.
Nobody doesn't push each other or get into a shot, and these days it's not gonna be viral moments, and it's not gonna be everywhere on social media. So
100%. Let's proceed though. We got some other people that want to get in here. Shout out to Base. How you doing, brother?
I'm very well. I've walked into a bit of a madness. So fill me in just quickly on what we're talking about, 100%, just so I can give my take. And everyone else
We're
go.
talking about the press conference for the mess of a press conference. I just got to say it that way. That was Tszyu and Thurman. It just didn't look good, the optics of it anyway. And if you saw any of the highlights or the press conference itself, and your thoughts?
Okay, so I didn't watch the entire thing. I've not watched it, and I don't know if I'm gonna bother go back and rewatch it. I did see some of the final bits between Keith Thurman and Thurman-Tszyu, and yeah, it felt very cringy. I haven't seen the setup. It seemed very cringy from what I saw. I haven't seen the setup. I don't know, the entire thing, but yeah, to me, from what I saw, the first thing I was thinking, well, if you've got a press conference, this big event, this first monumental partnership move between PBC and Prime, but yeah, it's on your same old YouTube channel that has the same subscribers on it before, when you've got Rolly talking about reaching 200 million subscribers globally, or just maybe in the States. I don't know if that was the numbers he was given, not quite sure. The whole thing just kind of seemed a bit thrown together, and it just didn't really seem like, yeah, you're really invested in this new partnership. It all seemed like the same stuff that I was seeing last year and the year before and the year before that. And then again, I'm gonna continuously say this, you're wheeling out 35-year-old Keith Thurman, who's had 3 fights in the last 6 years, won 2 out of the 3, and hasn't necessarily looked his greatest, apart from maybe the Barrios fight, which is, let's be honest, low-hanging fruit. The whole thing just kind of screams desperation and sadness, and that's one of those reasons why I can't be invested in it, and I just can't see it lasting. That's my take. I don't know if I've said anything right. I don't know if I've even answered the question, but I've got no interest in it.
Okay.
He's the champ.
Ryan O'Hara. You there, brother? Oh, there we go. Hey, talk to us. What did you think of the press conference, brother? You're muted. Yeah, I can't unmute you either for some reason. What happened? I don't know what happened.
I think he dropped off to come back in, probably.
Yeah, he pressed the wrong button or something. Ryan O'Hara will come back on. I just want to finish this point I was making. While I hear actually me. Ryan, can you hear me?
Yeah, well, that was annoying. Everything just disappeared on me. I couldn't do anything.
Man.
Yeah.
So you got to listen to a lot of what's been being said, and did you get a chance to watch the press conference, and what'd you make of it?
Yeah, I saw like 20 seconds of it, to be honest, like 20 to 30 seconds of it. Honestly, Keith Thurman's way of rhyming things, it just makes me laugh. I mean, the fight's probably not going to be that as exciting, but Thurman's a great talker. I'll give him that. But it kind of seemed like the press conference was rushed. Things just seemed a little bit out of place. But that's what happens when you get guys involved in the game that don't understand boxing. And that's just what happens. You put guys in control of things that, they aren't actually knowledgeable in the game in which they work, and things fall apart. So with that said, I don't know if this whole deal is going to work out long term.
Rock Nation.
Yeah, I mean, you look at NASCAR right now. You have drivers that are speaking out against the leadership, basically behind the scenes, like, hey, we want to do this, we want to add this to the car and this to the car, and they're talking to a guy who's never worked in a car before, he's never driven, and the guy in charge is like, nah, I don't think you know what you're talking about. I know everything, even though this guy has never driven a car, but he's telling actual race car drivers they don't know what they're talking about. It's that's how I've seen it going. Even with Showtime the last couple of years, you had guys in control that really didn't care about the sport. They were only in it for the money, and well, they're out of business now.
So here's my concern about the press conference. I'm going to be honest with you, I actually thought it would be a decent press conference. There was some bright moments that whether it's foul in their lap or not, like the whole Mexican zoo and don't talk about Mexican style that way and respect Mexican styles. A lot of those videos are actually going viral. And he's getting pretty good traction. I posted that clip on TikTok, and I don't have a big TikTok channel at all. It's already at 22,000 views. For me on TikTok, that's really good. So there's some traction there. No Limit has taken advantage of that, and hopefully PBC does as well. So Tszyu read the moment, and Keith healed it up, and Tszyu put on the cape in that moment. It is what it is. I thought that was a good moment for them, for as far as marketability. I just think it's more difficult to put on a boxing event than it is a press conference. It just is. So if you're struggling with a boxing event, look, I'm just gonna put this out there. If you don't have the old Showtime crew to put this event together, don't just hire a bunch of I don't know, ask No Limit to do it or something. Maybe we'll get the fire and shit during the show. I don't know. You have they could do it.
I was going to say the same thing. I feel like that's what Espinosa was there for, to be like, see, I told you need me.
It looks like
be hired again. Just let me know.
He was talking about needing a job.
And one more point I want to make is, and this is what, and I understand the point of boxing, the worldwide sport. In the U.S., it's just not in the top 10 most popular sports. It just isn't. And that's sad. It should be, but unfortunately it isn't. But here's the thing. If this, Amazon went a bat hard, they wanted that WWE deal. They wanted it bad, right? If this was their first WWE press conference, they would have had the who's who of Amazon execs there, and they would be speaking proudly, oh, we're happy to have WWE here, be part of Amazon. It's almost like they're like Pilate before they crucified Jesus. They just washing it, like they're washing their hands, that we don't want anything to do with
I
this.
feel like it's like to them, it's just content, just like any other.
Can I ask this question though? Is this really on Amazon or is this on PBC?
Oh, PBC.
PBC was the one that did this, not Amazon. So that's
no. What I'm saying is
that's okay for PBC not to go and hire people who don't
like if
UFC job.
Like, let me ask this question: if UFC had just done a deal with Amazon, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Amazon would have made a bigger deal about it. Like somebody from Amazon would be speaking in that podium. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah,
that would be happening.
Well, I guess my point is this: I think Amazon's going to probably take a look at this and maybe tighten things up moving forward. I don't think that it's going to continue to be like this. It can't. And I do suspect maybe that some of these Showtime, maybe Al Bernstein will be doing the broadcast. Who knows? Maybe Abner Mares will be there. Who knows?
I hope.
Well, I think though Prime doesn't really have, like, it's PBC. I think, like, D was saying, that's going to bring in the production. Like, does PBC think to themselves, okay, this is our opportunity to start fresh, no at all resemblance of Showtime, let's move forward, and all this is a new chapter? Or do they try to use that, like AEW did the same thing when AEW started? They got Jim Ross and commentators from WCW, and they gave it a feel to draw in older fans.
But here's the problem, Mario. You just can't bring in people who don't have experience. You're gonna bring in guys who have experience in
like NBC did, with Sugar Ray and Al Michaels. Even though Al Michaels was,
I definitely appreciate everyone's thoughts here, but we do got to proceed here. Let's go to the next topic. Dan Rafael, there's reports that he's reporting that Spence will not be exercising his rematch clause. That's not 100% confirmed, but assuming this is true, right? First of all, do you believe it's true? But if it is true, what do you believe is next for Terrence Bud Crawford? Mario, to start with you.
Well, if reports are to be believed, it could be Canelo Alvarez. A report came out this past week from ESPN Salvador Rodriguez, right? I think it was Sal. And he said essentially that the Jamal Charlo rumors from May were true, and that currently Bud is penciled in for the second fight of the year for Canelo, likely in September. Listen, I know it's not. Here's the thing. That's a tough question. Who's going to be next for Crawford? The easier question is who's not going to be next for Crawford. It's not going to be Boots. As bad as a lot of people want it, it's not going to be Boots. It does nothing for Crawford, regardless of how y'all feel about him. He's not going to fill the seats that Crawford wants in this fight. And then you got Tim Tszyu. He's locked up. Mel is the only guy I really thought of when I saw this question, when you sent the, topics in, and I thought to myself, the only reason why I think it could be Mel is Mel has some redeeming to do, not just for him, but for the Charlo name. Totally. He needs to come out and not just have a big fight, but a big fight that he looks good in, and so for him to be able to do that, that is the kind of fight I think that could interest Crawford. Anything else, and it's really tough to say.
All right. Base, two-part. What do you think Crawford's going to do? But what would you prefer Crawford to do?
What I think he's going to do, I think hopefully he's going to think the same way I think and say to himself, all right, if I'm going to be fighting Canelo in September, in theory, I can't just wait until September, because that's nearly 15 months from his last fight. And surely, even as good as he is, as much as he stays in the gym, he stays locked in, and he actually keeps himself disciplined, he surely should know, well, okay, when Stephen Fulton did that, this happened. Errol Spence did that, this happened. Keith Thurman's about to do that, and we're going to see what happens with that in March. That's not the right tactic. You can't be in a fight that, sort of that magnitude off of such a big layoff. So, I don't think he will be that dumb and wait 15 months. I just can't see him doing it, especially as obviously fighting, if he's going to potentially fight at a weight he's never fought at before. He doesn't know how he's going to carry that over the course of 12 rounds. I actually think And I'm actually going to give shout outs to Ring IQ as well, because I saw this on his video and I didn't realize I needed this until he said it. He needs a bridge in the gap fight, a way to sort of get get those extra pounds in and have a fight at a higher weight just to see how it goes. And the perfect opponent is Carlos Adames. He's the quote unquote interim WBC middleweight champ right now, but he's probably gonna be the full champ. I'm sure they're gonna take that title away from Jamal, especially if he is gonna be fighting Canelo in May. You know, he didn't fight at 160 in his very last fight. He's not fighting at 160 in this fight. You can't justify any way, shape, or form keeping the belt on him. So you've got Adames with that WBC belt. Crawford could fight him. They used to spar each other back in the day, so he's very familiar with Adames. And I've actually seen some of the sparring that they've done, and it looks like he used to give Adames the business. So with all of that, that's kind of for him almost a bit of an easy layup, an easy, sort of an easy tune up into a bigger weight to see how he kind of feels with that. Then from there, it's just about adding on a couple extra pounds, or maybe even staying at that weight if that's where he's comfortable going into September. But that, to me, gives him the best possible opportunity to fight at a weight and know whether or not he's comfortable. So yeah, that's what I think he should do. And whether he does that or not, I can't see him sitting out till September, because he's not stupid and he knows what inactivity causes.
All right. Ryan O'Hara, talk to us, brother. What do you believe Crawford's going to do next if there's no rematch clause with Spence? What could you confirm with us if that's true or not?
I haven't really heard anything. Obviously, we've heard reports about him fighting Canelo. Mm-hmm. But personally, as I said earlier in the show, I'd like for him to at least get a fight at 154, 160, stay active, get a taste of what the power feels like. Yeah, somewhere close to that weight class, because going straight from 147 to 160, that's a little bit insane, in my opinion. Weight classes exist for a reason, so I'd like for him to move up to 160. Who should he fight at 160 or 154? I mean, Jermell is now champion in recess, so I know he's got some legal issues now.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's got some legal problems. I'm not sure if that's why he's been named champion in recess, but that could be a good reason. But yeah, I think that might take a tune-up fight, and I wouldn't blame him for it. I think that would be the right decision before stepping in with Canelo. And after that, I don't know. Maybe Crawford retires. I know that he doesn't want to fight too much longer, so understandable.
Okay. Gotcha. Sakura from Boxing Playhouse. It looks like the Spence fight, if a report is true, will not happen. If that's the case, what would you personally like to see next for Terrence Crawford?
I mean, I do feel that he does need to have a kind of mid-range fight at 160. I do think that would be great. But 160, that division has kind of been cleaned out with people going up to 168. So it's only a few people that he could do, but who has a name, that's worthy enough. If Boots isn't big enough of a name for him to have a fight with, who's at middleweight right now that could fulfill that requirement, even though it is what's best for him. So mid-range, I would say, would be great. Another choice, like you're saying, Jermell, but Jermell for me is I don't see that happening, and I'd like to see the opposite for him too. I feel like he should also have a fight at 160 to try to come back down and fight, not doing a dramatic move from 168-ish down to 154. So, because we all know, the history of losing weight too fast and trying to come back down from higher weights. So it would be better for his career, since he's so young, that if he just, kind of came down gradually. So if you do choose somebody at 154, there's still lots of talent there. There's also There's also Lara at middleweight right now, so that might be a great choice. And he is on the undercard of this fight with Thurman and Tszyu. So that name might be, something that they could look at. I don't know if Bud is like urgently trying to find a fight though. For this Canelo fight. And it does seem to me more like a cash out type deal, because as your colleague said, he's not really, thinking of staying in the sport too much longer. And if you can get a Canelo fight, like, well, where do you go from there? Like, it's kind of hard. Like, you're not going to want to go off of pay-per-views, and you're not going to want to take a certain amount less than what you made already. So I think that's kind of like what happened to Thurman as well. It's like you got that Pacquiao money. Now you feeling like every fight you should be making the same a type of money. So, it just stalled his career a little bit, I believe. But it's difficult when you've made as much money as he's made with a Spence fight, and you're thinking and preparing and kind of like waiting, right, for Spence to feel better or to decide to enact the rematch clause, and then it's looking like he probably won't. I don't know how true those rumors are, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, we would just need to see if he really is not going to do that, Spence. Because, I mean, if he doesn't want to do that, nobody would blame him. But if he does want to do that and people are saying, oh, he's not going to, then that's a whole nother situation. But Spence and Bud and all of them, they're going to, be collaborating with Al Heyman and, PBC, and, it's just going to all work out to what they want it to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't take that fight right now. We need you to take this fight. This is a better look. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
All right. Joe Abib, assuming that Dan Rafael is correct, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm skeptical of the Canelo rumors of Charlo and then Crawford in September. This guy, I think, was the same guy that said Canelo was going to fight Berlanga. I know Chris Mannix reported it, but I think it came from this gentleman, Salvador Rodriguez. So I'm skeptical of these reports. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if Crawford did kind of wait till the summer and wait for the winner of Thurman versus Tszyu. I think he would probably like to fight either Tszyu. If Thurman were to beat Tszyu, then I think that would be a good fight for him at 154, right? I think he's looking to win some titles and maybe be undisputed at 154. I'm still skeptical about that 168 jump. I'm not 100% sure Canelo wants that. And I think maybe Crawford may be second guessing that himself, because he's kind of gone back and forth with it. I've heard him walk it back a little bit and question that. So I think maybe 154 will be the fight for him next. And I think it'll be in the summertime. I think he'll wait till the summertime, and it'll either be, Tszyu or Thurman. I think that's what I think is going to happen.
All right.
It's my opinion.
Hey, by the way, shout out to everybody watching us on whether it's Twitter or YouTube. We have 56 people watching on YouTube, and I got 26 likes. Do me a favor, hit the like button. All right. It goes a long way to support the show. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, just one more point too, though. There must be an expiration date on that rematch clause too with Spence. I don't think that Crawford's would be expected to wait over a year for that. So we'll see what happens.
I'm going to throw a curveball at everybody. I think the fight we're going to get, the big fight for Crawford that we're going to get this year, is not Canelo. I don't think it's Canelo. I'm not ruling it out, but I think we're going to get the Benavidez fight, to be honest. Maybe a tune-up in Benavidez, or maybe even Benavidez, and they're going to leave the rematch option for Benavidez in September. I think the fight we're going to get, given the reports, given what I've seen Coach Rhett say, given what Glenn Jennings, the manager of Tszyu, has said, I think it's going to be Tszyu versus Crawford at 154 pounds. I think that's the big fight that they're going to be doing around maybe June or so. The talks are extremely serious. Now, granted, if Canelo gets a butt fight, it wouldn't be the first time that Canelo swept an opponent from Tszyu. It would be the second time. So I'm not ruling that out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but still, you know what I mean? I will say that specifically. So Okay, there we go. But I think it's going to be Thurman-Tszyu
But
Crawford.
if Big Keith pulls off the upset, baby, you can't rule out Big Keith.
Well, if Keith Thurman pulls the upset, then we're going to get Keith Thurman versus Crawford.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like it's going to be one or the other. I think the winner of this fight gets Crawford later in the year. I think that's what's going to happen.
That's
in
what
my
I believe.
opinion.
That's what I believe.
Summertime. Yeah. So.
Well, then that would make it more of a sadness that WBO belt wasn't on the line. I mean, if it does end up being that way, yeah.
It would be very surprising if that was the case for sure. We're going to go ahead and proceed here now. Conor Benn is fighting this weekend in Las Vegas at the Cosmotolian versus Peter Dobson. Can the upset happen realistically? Like, not like anything could happen in boxing, but like, is there a realistic possibility, a good chance of an upset here? And what's next if he wins? You know, if it wins as is planned. Let's start with you, Base.
Can the upset happen? Yes, it can. Anything can. Will it happen? Or I think one thing I do think is that Dobson is obviously a lot better than I guess maybe the UK people realize, because I know no one over here knows who he is. I don't particularly know who he is as such, but I have seen some footage. I've seen him, some of his like defensive work, and there's many times where I've actually seen him. It almost looks like he got hit, but then when you see it back, it's like actually no, like the glove was there. He's managed to protect himself, and he seems to do well at being able to fight off the ropes and being able to sort of counter in between someone else's shots. Now, whether or not he's faced someone with the speed of Conor Benn, I don't know. That's to be determined. The one thing I can say though is I know that he has obviously been approached twice for different matchroom fighters who have pulled out on either fight week or just leading up very close to fight week before. Now, is that because they done more research or saw the type of style he had and realized that that's not what they want? Is it just genuinely due to injury? I'm not sure. But whereas people look and also say, oh, but he hasn't fought since like summer of 2022. Correct, he hasn't fought in a proper 12-round sanctioned bout, but he has been doing the Team Combat League thing. I think he's had 3 or 4 bouts there. Now, while obviously that's not huge amounts of action, you're still basically training to fight under the bright lights against other opponents that you got to try and figure out over a round. Now, the way his style seems, he doesn't seem suited to being able to win a 1-round fight, hence why I don't think he's won any of those bouts that he's had. But he definitely looks like the kind of person that can almost weather a storm early, like be defensive and then pick his moments and then sort of basically grind his opponent down or catch them later once they've opened up. So from the little bits and pieces I've seen is interesting. The fact it's at 150 pounds catch weight is interesting. How will the I guess the non 12-round condition of him show? Will that be a factor or not? I'm not sure, but I've liked the build up between the two of them. I mean, look, Conor Benn's always gonna talk and be intense and talk about his life and his journey and how he does it because he loves it. And Dobson's giving him that straight I come from the mud talk, and you're gonna feel all of that. But ultimately, everyone who seems to say that that I've seen of recent day falls by the wayside. So I'm intrigued. The only problem is obviously the time it's being shown over here is clashing with I guess unfortunately a bit more of an important fight to the quote unquote man them in the ends, and so I don't know which one I'll be watching. Well, I know which one I'll be watching live. It just depends on, hopefully it doesn't come on at the exact same time. Otherwise, I'll be watching that on the repeat.
All right. Okay. Sakura. So we got Peter Dobson here. He's 16-0. He's got 9 knockouts. Does he have a shot here? And if not, what do you think is next for Conor Benn here?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to win this fight. That inactivity again is going to come into play with that June 2022. That's the last fight. But you know, you never can tell. I mean, he's from a gritty city, the Bronx. So I know there's some brawler in there. I know there's some fight. So Conor might be in for more of a tougher fight than he may be planning for. But I like Conor's style and I like his ability to know when to reserve yourself in a fight and when to like bring it on and be more aggressive. So I mean, I gotta go with Conor on this one. Um, yeah. Oh, I see something else too that's interesting. I mean, I can't say, but I see something else on Dobson's record. But I would just say I feel like
What can we say? You're withholding secrets from us? What's going on?
it's just something I just noticed. I'm like, but
that is from New
I was
York.
just
Or what?
saying-
There's a non-disclosure on that. There's a non-disclosure on that.
Yeah, it'll get me in trouble. One of those type things.
Fair
So,
enough.
I mean, I just say I want to see Conor Benn fight some other welterweight competition, but I still would like to know what's going on with the U.S. invasion and when it comes to the BBBFC. I mean, I want to know like how much longer do they plan on not approving him, because now we're at the point where he's getting a lot harsher punishment than some of the other people that's not even had an explanation for popping. So I'm not saying that I'm agreeing with the egg situation, just to say. I'm just simply saying that now we're to a turning point where it's like, dude, now you got him out like way longer than you would have punished him for. So, I'm interested to see how that plays out and if he'll need to have another U.S. fight. I was able to see him when he was in Orlando a couple of months back and enjoyed that fight too. So, I mean, he looked like he had some layoff time in that fight, but now that ring rust is gone and we can look forward to seeing like the best Conor Benn. Hopefully we should, because he's been in California a while training. So, there's not going to be any jet lag or any of those type of things involved. We should be seeing the best of him. So let's just hope for the best, and maybe just maybe Dobson will overperform what many people feel, and we'll see a very competitive fight, which is really all my goal is anyway.
Okay, all right, Joe Beeb. This is going to be an afternoon fight for us, I guess, because they wanted prime time in the UK. How long is Conor Benn going to be fighting in America, and is he ever going to go back home to fight again? What's going on?
Oh, I think he'll go back home, and it's just funny. They're kind of dragging it out, and I think the reason why they're dragging it out, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, is because of the initial reaction of Conor Benn and what happened. I don't agree with what they're doing over there. I think they should bring this to a resolution, and I agree that he is facing a much harsher penalty than most fighters have in his situation, and I think it should come to an end. But let's move on to the fight. The fight's kind of interesting because even though it's scheduled for 12, neither fighter has gone a full 12 rounds in their career. Peter Dobson's another guy, like Orozco was, like Conor Benn's previous opponent, who's bigger and taller and longer than him. And it's going to be at a heavier weight than 147 again. So the question remains, we believe Conor Benn should win this fight, but how will he look doing it? That's the big thing. And, no, a lot of us don't know a ton about Dobson, but like Bay said, I kind of looked at him a little bit. He's cagey, right? And guys like that who are cagey know how to survive. So can Conor get him out of there, right? Well, because Conor again is going to be fighting at the higher weight. Will the power that he had at 147 transcend up to this weight? Because it didn't in his last fight. Now, could that have been just a one-off, or will his power be more evident against Dobson? That's the question. I think Conor Benn should get through the fight, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does go the distance, right? Could go the distance here. But
let's not forget in the Orozco fight, let's not forget he did actually test positive for a banned substance himself afterwards. So
Yeah, he
that
did.
could have also contributed alongside the gain in weight.
Yeah, all right. But I just look at the result. But yeah, I think a good opponent for Ben at this point would be like a Mario Barrios. I think that would be a great opponent for him moving forward. I think he needs to fight like a top 10 guy person. And Barrios is a very solid fighter. I think his height and reach, and he's got a great jab. He can box very well from the outside, and he's very capable up close as well. I think that would be a very stern test for Ben. Ben needs that type of opponent to kind of graduate him to the next level, because I think they have to start accelerating his level of opposition if they want to get him into title contention and get him into some of those big fights, because he himself has called out Crawford, and he needs to get like a Mario Barrios type level, couple of Mario Barrios type level victories. And with that being said, I don't even know if he beats a Barrios. I hold Barrios in high regard. I think he's a solid guy, right? So he needs to get past a guy like that before he proves he's ready for the top guys.
All right,
in my opinion.
For sure. Ryan O'Hara, talk to us, brother. What do you think about Conor Benn? He's going to be facing, as Beep said, KG Peter Dobson. Do you think Dobson has a realistic chance here? And if everything goes according to plan, what's next for our guy Conor Benn? You're muted, brother.
Yeah, forgot to hit the button. I agree with Joe. He's probably gonna have to face a couple of Mario Barrios level opposition in the future. In order to have a chance at fighting Crawford or any top guy at welterweight, including Boots, Ennis, given or not given, but I don't know how long Boots is going to stay at 147, but he's definitely got to basically accelerate his level of opposition. And I think the fight's going to go the distance with Peter Dobson. Dobson's a cagey dude. He's got some fights really well off the ropes. He has some good counter punches, and in Ben's last fight, he didn't look the same. I know that could have been a lot of mental stress from what he went through with the eggs. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. The clomiphene situation. Hopefully that's resolved, because as Joe said, he's kind of gotten punished more than most fighters for their first offense. So hopefully they get that figured out. But he didn't have that same power as we've seen in recent fights, especially in the Samuel Vargas fight. Maybe that was due to what he was taking. I don't know, but it didn't seem like his punches had that same effect. So after he beats Dobson, I don't think Dobson really has a chance of winning. I think Dobson will have to knock him out to win the fight, but I think he's going to give a good case for himself. At the end of that fight, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah, there's some people that are saying don't sleep on Dobson. I've been reading that, so
he's solid.
So I won't sleep. I'll watch and see. Let's see what's going on. You know what I mean? A fight I want to see if he gets past this, and I think he should. He's heavily favored here. And this is probably a dream or whatever, but there's been talks about Matchroom versus Golden Boy and all this other stuff. Conor Benn against Virgil Ortiz. I think that's a great fight. That's an explosive fight right there. I think Virgil wins it, but
easily.
I mean, why not? You're on mute, Joe.
What about Devin Haney? That would be a decent fight too. Conor Benn versus Devin Haney. Haney's talked about moving up to 147. I kind of like that one too.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
A good fight.
Okay.
Actually, I think that would be honestly, I think Devin Haney and Conor Benn would be more entertaining than Ben and Virgil, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you guys this. So what, Joe, when you say, and Ryan, you said it too. I don't know if anybody else said. What does Mario Barrios level mean? Like, just clarify that. Like,
I think I don't think he's a gatekeeper at all. I think he's another legitimate top 10 person, like fighter in the division. Maybe from like 7, 8, 9-ish. You know
Okay.
what I mean? That's the guy you need before you go up to fight the top 3 or 4 guy.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a gay. Who called him a gatekeeper?
And ever since he linked up with Bob Santos, I wouldn't say his career's been rejuvenated, but it definitely has been
We're taking
freshened.
a dump on fighters tonight. What's going on, man?
No.
Gotta give these guys their respect, man.
So what Sakura, when you hear Mario Barrios level, like what does that mean to you?
I mean, you might not be the winner. You're going to be actually taking a step up and having a test against someone who's actually been in there with championship level boxers. And so he's going to have more experience than a Dobson, and he's going to be able to, counter you. I mean, even when he fought Gervonta Tank Davis at 140, I mean, you could still tell he has a lot of boxing skill there. Nice jab. I mean, he knows how to, he has ring generalship. I mean, he knows how to set up a punch. He didn't look bad against Gervonta Tank until he didn't look good. You know what I'm saying?
I had him up actually.
He looked good until he didn't look good.
Right, exactly. You look good against Tank until you don't look good. Okay, that's how most of his opponents go. So, I mean, to me, Barrios is someone that we could, easily see him against that could give him some problems. I mean, but we want to see him against some opposition that's, been battle tested. And that's what I think Joe was saying.
Somebody just said Ben versus Mean Machine.
That's exactly what I was saying, Sakura.
Thank you.
All right.
And maybe
I speak
maybe Conor
men.
Benn versus Sergey Lipinets. Lipinets typically he can take a punch. I know he got knocked out by Boots, but
is Lipinets one of
Boots
those
is
Mario
special.
Barrios level?
Yeah, just about. I know you just
This
lost to
guy's
Michelle
hilarious.
Rivera.
Hell
But
no.
So let me ask
Just
Base.
about.
Base, when you hear Mario Barrios level, what does that mean to you?
Don't do it, Base.
It means fringe world at best. It's like, but if you beat him, then you get the opportunity to fight someone that is credible within the top 10, or you get the opportunity to fight for a world title. Yeah, to me, Mario Barrios level is almost a bit like Derek Chisora level. Like you beat Derek Chisora, you're at least in that conversation amongst the better fighters, and you get the opportunities to challenge for number 1 spots, number 2 spots, potentially get a vacant title shot if you can show that you're past that. That's the kind of level I believe him to be. So if someone told me Mario Barrios level, that's what I'm thinking. Sort of that it's a gatekeeper to the world rankings as opposed to a gatekeeper to just stepping up. That's probably what how I would describe it.
All right.
Base is saying basically, if you beat him, then you get some coins.
Hey, you know what though? Like that's actually a good lane for Barrios, right? Like he's gonna get fights. I mean, we're coining a phrase for him, the Mario Barrios level. I mean, like that's I'm just saying, like, so shout out to Mario Barrios, you know what I mean? Mario Barrios.
I love him.
Yeah, shout out to him. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. Let's go ahead to the next topic here. Shakur Stevenson devastated everybody with his retirement. He retired after the news of Navarette's next fight against, I believe the guy's last name is Baranchik. Is this all caps? Sakura, are you buying this? Are you devastated? Do you believe him that he's retiring?
I don't even think he said it like that. Like when you read all 3 texts together, it just seems like he was being sarcastic and was like, "Oh, I might as well retire. You know what? Yes, I'm going to retire. And I'm just going to be in the gym helping out and blah, blah, blah." Like it just seemed like to me it was just a sarcastic statement. And of course, we media just had to like take the part where it just said, "I'm retiring" as the headlines. I mean, but I don't believe it. I don't even think he said it like that in the first place, but hey, it got him some, some clicks and some likes, and his name is back out there. Unfortunately for Shakur, the problem is that since he had a bad outing in his last fight, people are not really caring him as much. But what he's saying on theory about these sanctioning bodies and these matchups and who they decide to mandate need to fight certain people, there's a topic there. The thing of it is I couldn't understand why he was that upset about it, because he's not really on the WBO rankings, and Lomachenko is number one contender in that particular weight class, who is fighting Kambosos. He's not available. So number two on that list, guess who it is? Ding, ding, ding. Exactly who he's going to be fight. He was Navarette was told to fight. Baranchek. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, because I got a southern accent. But
right
I'm just saying, I mean, that was the number two on the list because the number one wasn't available. So I'm not really understanding why he was as upset as he was about it. But like I said, in theory, that is a great topic about the not just the WBO, but sanctioning bodies deciding who they're going to, mandate needs to fight when they come into a new division. It's a scenario that we've seen a couple of times where you're champ at a lower level and then you move up to the next level and you get the opportunity to fight for the belt right away. I don't have a problem with that. I just feel like, sometimes you'd be like, well, who the hell is this? I mean, in this particular situation, it made sense, thankfully for the WBO. But in certain situations, you guys know we be sitting here scratching our head like, I don't understand how you skip over 7 people and say this is who gets a chance at the title. Not fair. So Shakur be okay though.
Shakur be all right. He'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hey, Ryan, is there anything you could tell us in terms of Shakur Stevenson, and do you believe he's really retiring?
No, I don't believe it. I just think he's upset, which I can understand both sides. So yes, he probably doesn't give a crap about the sanctioning bodies. He wanted to fight Navarrete. He beat Robson Conceição easily, even though he failed to make weight, lost the title on the scales. Navarrete had a draw against Conceição. So Stevenson's logic was like, well, because I beat Conceição easily, I should have a shot at Navarrete. Well, here's another thing. You have to look at from the promotional aspect and from the fans aspect. So when Shakur Stevenson fought his last fight, it was on a Thursday. It was before the Formula One Las Vegas Grand Prix. Top Rank put him on that card for a reason, because they had confidence that he was going to represent the brand and introduce himself to casual fans and put on a spectacular performance and possibly garner some F1 fans who were just in town. They're like, because I've been in the racing industry my whole life. Race fans, they like to come in the middle of the week and explore the town. They probably saw the billboards and were like, oh hey, just go on Google. This guy's a 2-division world champion. He's in the Olympics. Let's go check him out. And they went there and they fell asleep. The fight was awful. Both guys combined to land 105 punches. We're talking Stevenson and Edwin De Los Santos. And De Los Santos, of course, his 40 landed blows were the lowest recorded total in CompuBox history in the last 38 years. So when you look at it from that aspect, do you think it's like it's an entertainment thing? So Stevenson's resume has been impressive, but after that last fight, his stock took a serious drop. So if Stevenson wants these bigger fights, these legacy defining fights, he's going to have to take some risks. He's got to realize, the higher you go in opposition, the bigger the risk, you're probably going to get hit. And he's done this twice now. Once against Jeremiah Nakatila. Timothy Bradley criticized him after that fight, said he nearly fell asleep. And again against De Los Santos. If he continues to do this, Top Rank's not going to be willing to pay the money that he wants, and neither will the fans. So he's going to have to. And Stevenson is incredibly skilled. As skilled and as talented as Shakur Stevenson is, he can do it. He just has to believe in himself. And I think he has some self-doubt, because once he gets hits hard, he kind of shells up and runs around a little bit. But it's the hurt business. You're going to get hit. You just got to deal with it.
Right. I think that's his issue, though, is that he trained not to get hit. So it's kind of like in the professionals, we as fans reward those that can get hit and don't mind getting hit for a punch, but it's also a mindset, and it's automatic almost that when you do get hit and how to not actually take a punch, then your mind and your body is going to automatically just slip into that routine of not doing that. So he has to slip out of that mindset And his grandfather, who was giving him the coaching advice, was saying, hey, don't worry about the crowd. Don't worry about that. You just do what you're supposed to do. And, you know, he did that, but that's not what the fans wanted to see. So at some point, he has to be able to professionally make some decisions on his own when it comes to when you're in that ring. Like a lot of times, there are fighters that stop listening to their trainers at a certain point, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm finna get this, or I'm not. Yeah, this crowd is into it. I'm not trying to hear what they're saying right now because you know I want to fight another fight that's big." So, I mean, he might have to learn how to do that sometimes.
I mean, he's got to
tune out
find
the
a healthy mix. He's got to find a healthy mix of entertainment and boxing. Like we're not asking him to go out and like Robert Helenius and just drop his hands and run right into a punch. We're not asking him to do that, but you know, land more than 65 punches. That's all I'm asking.
Don't break the record for the least punches landed.
That
in a championship fight, don't do that. But what I'll say is
we thought the Prograis Danielito Zorrilla fight was bad, and then they went out and did that.
Yeah, that's a great point. But look, like in the case of the Los Santos fight, really quick, that fight, I honestly believe, because what was ruining that fight was that every time that Los Santos finally closed the gap and was, you know, and he was in a pocket with Shakur would hold him immediately, and then the ref would break it up immediately. He wouldn't even let them work on the inside. And that was causing a constant reset in that fight. And that's what made the fight so unwatchable. If the ref actually wasn't breaking it up so soon, and De Los Santos was allowed to clinch fight him on the inside and rough him up, maybe Shakur will stop holding because he's not incentivized to keep holding. So I could see why he was incentivized to do it, because the ref was hooking him up with a quick breakup, right?
I mean, but that's like literally the definition of a clinch versus a hold, right? A hold, you know, is totally legal, while a clinch is seen as a reset for a boxer that they oftentimes get away with. So, I mean, that's what was happening. He actually was clinching, and the reaction was he got a break. It got broke up. You got to reset. His opponent has to reset. So, I mean, that was also, to me, that was also a tactic.
No, of course it's
like it's a defensive.
I understand that it's a tactic, but it's a tactic that makes fights very unwatchable. Not all refs do that, though. Some refs will allow the clinch fighting to happen and will tell you, hey, you fight out of that clinch, and as long as your opponent's still throwing with a free hand, they will allow it. That's what they should do. That way we don't get these, because if you incentivize a fighter to hold and you break it up right away, then they're going to keep doing it, right? So I just think that the reffing in that fight played a big role as to why that fight was so unwatchable, in my opinion. The ref could have taken more control of that fight and told Shakur, like, either, hey, stop doing that, or B, if you do that, you're going to have to deal with the consequences of holding them, right? And I don't think the ref did either or, in my opinion. But that's my opinion. But base, Shakur Stevenson, do you buy it? Is he gone? Like, well, what's up? Is he done with the sport?
No, I actually done a very quick segment on this earlier on when I was at the Joshua Buatsi and Dan Aziz live gloves are off thing. I think more than anything else, he's throwing, for lack of a better word, a temper tantrum. Yeah, he wanted to fight Navarette. He thought that he could get Navarette to come up and challenge for his belt. But ultimately, Navarette is a 3-division WBO champion. There's a vacant WBO lightweight title. He's got super champ status. He goes immediately into a fight there, which then ultimately, if Shakur was thinking logically, parlays into a unification match with Navarette afterwards, which would be more money than just him coming up and challenging for his 4th world title. But the reason, obviously, to me, that Shakur is upset, or he feels jaded by the whole situation, is the fact that if Navarette wins that WBO, realistically, you're looking at Kambosos and Lomachenko winner getting the Navarette unification fight over Shakur Stevenson, because he just laid the egg in his last fight. It's not the first time he's done it. and he's been shouting off at the mouth for the last 4 months or so prior to that fight, and a little bit after, talking about, well, his contract's up this year and he's going to be looking at free agency. So you can't really do all of that, then have a terrible performance, but then expect your promoter and the whole promotion around you to be heavily invested, to say that, you know, yeah, you're definitely going to be getting those shots, because you haven't even on camera committed your future to the company. So that's what he realizes, is like, okay, I was talking all this smack, yeah, I'm gonna be a free agent, I'm gonna be able to look for the best deal here, there, and everywhere. Then he had a terrible performance, which now has actually lowered his market value off of a win, which doesn't happen very often, but it's happened on this occasion. He hasn't committed his future to Top Rank. He's doubled down on the fact that, you know, he's going to be out of contract, and so he knows that unification isn't coming his way, not anytime soon. You know, and someone like Lomachenko is maybe a 1/2 a year type guy anyway. So even if he does have to fight in May, there's no guarantee that he's gonna fight again until maybe December for that unification. And then after that, then there's no guarantee he would fight again against Shakur until maybe sometime in 2025. So I think he realizes that his options are extremely limited at this point. So it's almost just kind of maybe throwing that hissy fit. And maybe if you quote unquote retire for long enough, it might void a contract to a point that he then is able to maybe find another situation that offers him an opportunity. I don't necessarily know how those contracts and stuff work, but yeah, I think it's just a temper tantrum. He'll be back. You know, Teofimo Lopez has said the same thing. Tyson Fury. That seems to be the big thing with Top Rank affiliated people right now. The fake retirement to garner attention, and maybe that's just a way for him to kind of get some shine back on his name and a bit more maybe / positive PR. But unfortunately, just every move he's been making recently has just kind of been putting people off of him, as opposed to, you know, drawing people towards him. So yeah, he's in a bit of a, like I said, it's a temper tantrum, but he's in a bit of a sticky situation. So I hope he manages to get through this moment in the best possible fashion, because he's a very good, talented fighter. He's definitely skill-wise a pound for pound great. It's just that he needs to realize it's about more than that, and you can't keep moaning all the time when things don't go your way.
All right, everybody, make sure you hit the like button if you're listening right now. Let's get to the 50 likes in a couple minutes here. I believe.
Want to know a crazy stat? Adrian Broner retired more times in 2019 than he has fought in the last 5 years.
That's crazy. Oh, there you go. I didn't even know he retired, actually. But
yeah, he announced 3 different retirements in 2019, and then he said he was going to come back, but he wanted to fight Canelo and Triple G first before retiring, which was met with a lot of criticisms. Like, well, you're kind of having trouble with the guys 147, and now you want to fight Canelo and Golovkin, who were still in their prime at the time at 155-pound catch weight.
For sure. And by the way, guys, once again, I reiterate: make sure you hit the like button. And let's get those likes up. Joe Beeb, cap or no cap? What's going on?
I mean, I think most people realize it was an emotional response. He's still young. I think, to be honest with you, I do believe that the fight was offered to Navarette, and they probably were negotiating. And Navarrette's team probably advised him, why not go for the title? Why not get the vacant title first? And then, like Base said, if you do fight him next, or eventually, you can have a unification fight. And I know Base mentioned also that the Lomachenko Kambosos winner would probably fight the winner of Navarette, right? And his quest for the WBO title. Even still, you know, the one thing Shakur Stevenson has as a bargaining chip is that WBC title. And I'm sure eventually, at some point, Lomachenko, if he, you know, I believe he'll come out on top. But, you know, whoever comes out on top in that fight, I think eventually Kambosos, Lomachenko, they have the mentality where they want to get all the belts. They want to be undisputed again. You know, he wants to be undisputed. He's never undisputed, but he wants to be undisputed, Lomachenko, before he retires. I believe that's what I believe. So at some point, Shakur is going to get that big fight because he has that title. So I just think things didn't work out for him. He's upset, obviously, and he reacted to it.
All right. Yeah, I think it's all cap. I think everybody agrees. I just think he's definitely unhappy. It's just a series of things. Like he sees Loma going to fight Cambozas, and then he sees like Navarette over here, and he's probably wondering, okay, where's my fight? What's going on? I think it has everything to do with that. One more topic here. Arizona.
Can I add something
Sure.
to that?
Of course.
It's also the fact that every time he moves up to a division, it clears out. Like it's almost like, you're chasing your tail. Like, so now he's in a predicament where most of the people that were at 135 is at 140.
Yeah.
And you're in a position where, the two people you could have fought probably are going to end up fighting each other. And you're still out of the equation.
Because he probably felt, okay, I'm next. I'm going to fight Haney, right? Now that'd be Loma. He was in the ring and everything. He was staring Haney down and the whole nine. And then the fight didn't happen. Like, you know what I mean? And now he's probably, maybe they told him, don't worry, you're going to get the Navarette fight. Then, oh, never mind. He's going to fight somebody else. And he's probably just impatient. But
he probably thought he had that fight.
Yeah.
And then at the 13th hour, Navarette his team probably told him, hey, what are you going to fight him for? You can get a WBO title.
But it's happened like from featherweight to super featherweight. Now we're at lightweight, and it's still like the same scenarios going on.
Yeah.
Right. And I think he felt he was so close after that Haney fight, and Haney moved on. Like, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
it just is what it is. Now Arizona, the Phoenix area, Glendale's literally part of Phoenix, but it's technically in Glendale, is getting yet another big fight here. Look, not that Wilson Valdez is a big fight, but it's still for that area. I think it is. They keep getting big cards anyway. Top Rank, Golden Boy, Matchroom, like everyone's putting cards in Arizona. It's a hot spot for some reason, right? Wilson Valdez, Wilson, as you all know from Australia, he gave Navarette that good fight. There was that controversial spin out the mouthpiece, and then Navarette stopped him in the later rounds. And of course, Valdez, we all know, just came off that kind of a one-sided but competitive at the same time fight with Navarette. And then we have Seniesa Estrada against Valle for Undisputed in the co-main. I mean, those are two really good fights right there for Glendale, Arizona. Sakura, what are your general thoughts on that fight card?
I mean, I like it, but have you been to Arizona before? I haven't.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, how's the fight fans there? Are they like super hype about,
Yeah, like that's where Navarette Valdez was at. Yeah, but for whatever reason, the promoters, I don't know if it's taxes, it has to be something. Like they really like that area.
No state tax. There's no state tax.
There you go.
Oh, there's another one with no state tax. That's awesome.
Yeah. Nevada, Arizona, that's a great area. I love it.
Yeah, Florida, we're no tax too.
And you saw Mungia just fought there, not at that arena, about 20 minutes away in Phoenix.
Okay.
Good crowd. So there you go.
I mean, I'm always down with the ladies having undisputed, fights and being able to showcase at the top part of the cards, which is something that I'm glad that promoters have started to see value in. And I do also, I like Valdez. I had some issues, when he had his incident with Conceição fight, but now that he had the Navarette fight, I feel like I didn't really like him at that weight. I guess this is still at that same weight, but it might be just that he's good at that weight, but Navarette really wasn't in that weight class. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a big guy down that way. So I'm gonna say. I think it's a good matchup for him because you do get to just kind of do like a litmus test between the two boxers, someone that they both fought, to see who can do it better. And that's also a happy day too, because I like litmus tests. They actually are good indicators of where a boxer falls. But Navarrette's moved on now, so to a different weight class, but we get to see if Valdez is like top dog right now.
Okay. I agree. I think it's a very intriguing fight. And just very random fact. Like it's 24 hours apart from the Thurman-Tszyu fight, which that one's in Vegas. It's just 24 hours apart. And it's a no limit fighter on both cards. So I don't know, like there might be some Australian fans at both events, I believe. So it's gonna be interesting. Joe Beeb, what you think of the fight? The ladies in the co-main for Undisputed. You get, Seniesa Estrada, in my opinion, one of the most talented pound for pound fighters for women. What do you think?
I think it's a great card. Liam Wilson really showed his mettle in that Navarette fight, got the knockdown. He won a significant amount of rounds. He was right in that fight before getting stopped. And Oscar Valdez is a guy that's always going to bring it. So this is a can't miss type fight. I just think that the way these two styles are going to mesh, it's kind of going to be a phone booth war. And I love inside fighting. That's one of my favorite types of fights to watch. And two guys just kind of stand in that center of the ring and they bang it out. But also, these guys are talented as well too. They know how to make themselves a compact target on the inside. They know how to position themselves properly. So it's not like it's just going to be a tough man contest. There will be some skills involved in this as well. But it's just going to be curious to see, because Valdez looked a little sluggish against Navarette, but Liam Wilson looked very sharp. And I question if Valdez can make this weight comfortably. He's been at this weight for a while, so I question if he can still make the weight comfortably. But yeah, I'm excited for the card. I think it's a really solid card.
Really good card for sure. And we're getting this one for free. We're not paying anything for it.
Well, that's the thing. Like when we get criticized sometimes when we value these cards, and I buy all the pay-per-views anyways. I'm a sucker. They always got my money, but the problem is we look at these types of cards. We look at Teofimo Lopez when he fights. He's fought Josh Taylor. He's fighting Jermaine Ortiz. He fought Lomachenko. We get so many good free cards, and then I think most of them are just as good as some of these pay-per-views that we've been getting. So that's why sometimes we complain, because we're looking just for value for our dollar, and we're definitely getting value for our dollar with this card.
100%. Ryan O'Hara, you there? Earth to Ryan, you there, brother? I don't know what's. Yeah,
I think he's in the closet.
I don't know what happened. I figured it kept loading, so it is what it is. Base, talk to us. What you think of this fight card? Of course, including Valle versus Estrada, right there in the co-main. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, Undisputed. Was it like minimum weight? That's a great fight, and I know Seniesa's been dying for that Undisputed for the longest time, and I know there's a lot of people thought that Yokasta Valle didn't really want it, but now it's that's been proven incorrect. Wilson, the first time I'd actually seen him was in the Navarette fight, and I was very impressed with him. He obviously couldn't maintain to the end, but I had him up at the time. He gave a great account of himself and really sort of put an early beating on Navarette. Bearing in mind, obviously, he was coming up from the weight class below, so I guess you have to say, well, the naturally bigger guy did what the naturally bigger guy was supposed to do at the start of that fight. But it does lead in very nicely to Oscar Valdez, who we can see is obviously like limited, probably past his best right now, but is still a guy that's mega tough, got sort of world-class credentials, and that win, lose or draw, you're gonna get a great fight from him. And in this current era, he's tightened up a lot on his skill set, which was a bit more limited before, and he just sort of traded a lot more in his heart and his grit, whereas now he's actually displaying some more of that tactical nous, which I think will gel nicely with Wilson from what I've seen of him. Obviously, I'm not going into any predictions up until closer to fight time, as you guys well know. But yeah, in terms of I may be a bit more least qualified to sort of assess it based on obviously the fact of this is definitely a US card. This isn't going to gain any traction in the UK. Probably may not get shown. Actually, no, it will. It will get shown on Sky Sports. They've got the top rank deal, so they will show all the top rank cards. So in that sense, it will definitely have its 4:30, 5 a.m. slot on the TVs. But yeah, it's not gonna the general public over here ain't gonna care anything about it, but we'll definitely, the people who want to watch will definitely be entertained. So
You're gonna
I
watch
like
it,
the card.
Base. You'll watch it.
Yeah, but I'm not the general public. I'm a hardcore casual. There's a slight difference there.
Worry about the
And
general public, man.
the
You're
thing is,
the
I
only
might not.
person that counts.
But the thing is, I might not watch it live. That's the thing. Is this the kind of card that I want to stay up until 5 a.m., 6
You'll
a.m.
do
in
it,
the morning
Base.
to watch?
Base, you'll do it. You always do.
I'm not as young as I used to be. I know I look it, but I need my sleep. But it's a great
Joe's
it's a great
never up
note.
at 5 a.m. Like, you're never up at 5 a.m., Joe.
I'm
All
about
jokes
to ask,
aside,
how old are you?
point is where I'm closer to 40 than I am 30. That's what I'm gonna say.
You're a
Base,
punk.
that's not old, Base.
Oh man,
That's only compared to
I
you.
give anything to be in my 40s again. What are you
Oh,
talking
right?
about?
Like, well, like,
Hey, okay, I'm 49, baby, but I'm in my prime.
Well,
there
you
you go.
definitely don't look 49, but I
Cause
ain't
you
about to
look,
be. I ain't about to be sweet talking you on the boxing show. Let's let's get back to business. All jokes aside, it's actually a really good card. I'm just not sure if I'm gonna have the energy to stay up, but I definitely will watch it. Like, I will record it, I'll watch it. I just may not be live tweeting when it's on, but it is a good card, and I'm happy, obviously, for you guys that it's not, a card that you're going to be paying pay-per-view for. Because quite frankly, that card, just off those two fights alone, may, and I say this, I'm not going to say it with full chest, but I'm going to say it confident enough, it might actually be a better quality than Thurman-Tszyu, which people are going to be paying $85 for. So yeah, that just kind of puts certain things into perspective in that sense. But no, good card, and I will look forward to it, and I hope it delivers.
Let me ask you this, Base.
Yeah.
It's back to back, right? It's gonna be back to back. So, which one is Base more likely to stay up for, Thurman-Tszyu or Wilson Valdez?
Oh, Wilson Valdez. I might even watch Thurman-Tszyu if they make me pay for it over here. If I got to pay for it, I ain't watching it. 100%.
That Golden Boy card last week was really solid too, man. That was a good card.
yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
But some
That was
people
great.
died down that card too.
No,
So
that
I
was
think
a good
sometimes boxing fans just like get into this bitch fest and they can't claw their way out for anything.
No, that Alan Picasso Romero versus Eric Ruiz fight was very entertaining.
That was
And
that was
I don't know how Ruiz has got such a chin. That was a great fight. But with that, even with that one, I was watching the Royal Rumble. I had to watch that afterwards. I decided to watch that later on in the day.
You picked wrestling over boxing?
I picked the Royal
There
Rumble.
were a couple of my friends that did the same thing. They
I picked the
the
Royal
wrestling.
Rumble. Yeah,
Yeah.
when it comes, if
But
it's
that's
Royal
why I'm
Rumble,
surprised you didn't catch my
WrestleMania,
breakfast that
SummerSlam,
minute ago.
I'll watch those over anything
Not
else.
to dive off topic, but
No,
I
you
didn't
didn't
like that
catch my
Royal Rumble. I'm
reference
just gonna put that
with
out there.
Dusty Rose when I said I'm in my prime.
There you go. I remember it. But yeah, no, when it comes to like the big four events, I will watch those over anything. I grew up watching wrestling before boxing. That's just
Do you know that WWE YouTube channel has like 99? I think it has like 99 million subscribers.
Yeah,
it's insane. I never realized how popular WWE still is.
Oh, it's freaking super
It's
popular,
insane.
especially
And
around
you
the
like
world.
the word corny, and that shit is corny. Like to me, that's where that word belongs.
That's a Northeast Coast. That's a Northeast Coast thing. You can ask D-Style how many times when he talks to me on the phone, I use that word corny.
Yeah. So let me ask the ceiling tile what they think. Shout out to Ryan. Hey Ryan. Hey Ryan, you there, brother?
Oh God, he fell.
Yeah, talk to us, brother. The Glendale. By the way, I met you there. By the way, it was good meeting you over there.
Yeah, you too.
For the Sonny Edwards Bam fight.
Hold on, just a sec. I gotta take this call.
Sure. Okay.
Oh, he got you again.
He's at work. It is what
Styles.
it is. But look, to give my thoughts here, while we wait for Ryan. Look, I like this card. I think it's a good. I think it's a decent main event with a really good, if not really a great, co-main. It's there, and it makes sense. It's top rank. I think they only have two. If I'm not mistaken, they only have Michaela Mayer and Seniesa Estrada. I think that's all they have.
Yeah,
And
that's
they know like they're realistic. Like they understand. Okay, well, Michaela ain't gonna be selling no arena here by herself, but we could if she wants to fight in England, they'll let her do that. And if she fights here, it's usually like on the undercard of another fight. Smart. In this case, they didn't force some main event with Seniesa and Valle. It would have been at the Hard Rock in front of 3,000 people, maybe. But instead, they're saying, you know what? Let's put in the co-main, and we'll have a rowdy Mexican crowd that's going to show up for, hopefully, for Valdez.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got some action. You know what I mean? And that's what I think about that. I don't think the ceiling tile is ready to take any questions. But all right, Ryan, what you think of the announcement for the fight? Valdez, Wilson, and then Seniesa Valle.
Oh, I love that. I mean, I know that. Well, I'll talk about the Seniesa fight first. I know that they've been trying to fight each other for a long time. There's been a lot of back and forth. You know, Valle was claiming that. Yeah, you've got to be kidding me. I'm gonna ignore that. Anyway, phone's ringing. We're gonna pretend no one saw that. Yeah, I'm just excited for that fight. You know, there's been a lot of back and forth. Valle was claiming that Seniesa was scared and blah 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 blah, and now they're finally gonna have to fight for real. So I'm excited for that. You got two girls that just throw bombs, and I think Estrada's gonna win, but it's gonna be a good fight, and I am really excited for the Oscar Valdez-Liam Wilson fight. I think that's gonna be more exciting than Thurman-Tszyu. And I'm going to break this phone in half.
There we go. Ryan,
I'm going to be busy like him, I swear.
Yep.
Oh, man. Look, well, Ryan goes back to his phone call. We definitely appreciate him being here. A shout out to Base, by the way. Beeb, as always. Shakur, thank you for joining. We'd like to have you back on whenever you want to come back. Let us know.
Thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate it. I had fun tonight.
There we go.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Apologies for being late, but it doesn't happen often, so... Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. This is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. We're out of here. Peace.
Peace.